Well, summertime here on the South Coast is really a special time of year. People do spend a lot of time outdoors, whether it's boating, swimming, staying in the backyard, cooking on the grill. Fairhaven Firefighter and Information Officer Wayne Oliveira makes it a point at the start of the summer to come in and speak with us about summer safety. Wayne, thanks for stopping by, first off.
Thank you very much for having me here.
All right. Let's start with grilling. There are really I think, what can happen. I know there are many people who say that, but there's many things that can happen, and there are many ways that accidents can occur. What do people sometimes overlook when you bring out the grill for the summer?
Well, I think just in general, people take it for granted. It's a fun thing, but they don't realize kind of the dangers behind it. You're cooking with propane or you're cooking with charcoal. Both burning very hot. If you're doing the propane thing, you have a 20-pound cylinder beneath that grill full of propane gas. And the same thing with even grilling with charcoal. You have some very hot coals that, combined with the grease, if they get knocked over, you have burn safety that you're concerned about. And, just to kind of bring out, between 2011 and 2015, fire departments responded to 431 calls with grills, hibachis, barbecues, 20 civilian injuries, 3 firefighters were injured, and over $3.5 million in property damage. So, again, it's a fun thing, but you can see that if not used correctly, it can lead to some very dangerous situations and expensive situations.
Now, all these grills that are on sale, especially this time of year, to try and sales to get people to get ready for the summer. What should people be looking for in a grill? They're all safety inspected, I assume.
Right. When they do sell them, they are safety inspected. You just want to make sure, sometimes the cheapest grill isn't the best grill. You want to make sure that it's stable, for one thing. That it's not going to knock over on you. Depending on the location you're going to put it. Some people don't realize that grills can't be used on upper levels like apartment houses. Sometimes you'll be traveling, you'll see a propane grill up on the 9th, 10th floor. They're not allowed anything above the first floor deck. So, again, it's common sense. You've got to be aware of the laws and what they do require. But, anytime you pick out a grill, again, look for it to fit your needs, but look for it to be stable and appear safe. If you look at it and for some reason you don't feel comfortable, it looks cheaply made, it looks like it could tip over, when kids are around it, then, maybe you want to pass on that and look at a different model.
Okay. What kind of mistakes do you see with propane tanks especially? I know that, you get the tank filled, you hook it up, you're ready to go.
Right, and it typically can be that simple, but a lot of times we find, number one, people lighting the grill with the cover closed, turning on the propane, getting all that gas built up under the hood, and then they try to light it. You always want to light the grill with the top open so that it vents and just lights normally. We also see people trying to transport the propane tanks in their vehicle. Summertime, it's really hot. You have to realize that gas is gonna build up some pressure and could the pressure relief could go off in your vehicle, or worse. You don't want to leave them in the sun. If you can put them in a shady area, that sun just beating on a propane tank is just doing it no good. Make sure the hoses are in good shape. The hose that supplies the grill from the propane tank, we see a lot of those kind of hot grease on them, burns away. Next thing you know, you have fire under the grill where it doesn't belong. So there's a lot of common sense maintenance ideas that you have to kind of look at. And again, we take it for granted. We light the grill, we throw the food on it, we finish with it, and we put it away until next time. But there are some simple maintenance things that you have to kind of watch.
All right. Anything else before we move on to other safety topics here in the summer?
Just reminding people to be as safe as they possibly can with these. They are a very dangerous piece of equipment, and should be used as safely as possible. But just a reminder.
I know that Fairhaven has been very aggressive in recent years in dealing with fireworks, especially around July 4th. I know you put a flashing billboard at Sconica Neck Road, and there has been some tragedies in Fairhaven because of fireworks in the past. First of all, the point you want to make here, I think, is that fireworks are illegal in Massachusetts.
That's probably first and foremost. Before we even talk about them, we all know they're fun. They're beautiful. July 4th would be, kind of mundane without fireworks. But leave those to the professionals, and that's the kind of the slogan that we use every year. They are illegal. All types are illegal in Massachusetts. The cherry bombs, the firecrackers, the snappers, the sparklers. Because we just remind people that sparklers burn at 1,800 degrees. They can be very dangerous. These little kids are kind of walking around flying these things all through the air. And, when they touch your skin or if they get near your clothes, they're burning at a super hot temperature, let alone the aerial displays that people are shooting off on private property. I mean, again, leave that to the professionals. They can be very dangerous. The fuses can be really short. We've had case where we did lose a person here on the beaches of Fairhaven, died as a result of fireworks, gone off in their hands, gone off in their face. So they can be really, really dangerous. You're using an explosive is what it comes down to. It's a pretty explosive, and you really have to, stay away from that.
All right, let's move on to boating. I think we joked before we went on the air about, in many cases in Fairhaven, there are so many boating mishaps, especially in the summertime, that you guys spend more time in your Fairhaven response boat responding to these situations than you do probably in your own private boat.
We do, yeah. And that was a joke we made. And I do have a boat, and I would guarantee that I put more hours on the fire department boat than I put on my own boat. Yeah. So that's very true.
That's how many things happen with boating here. I'm going to guess the number one problem with boaters is probably, number one, alcohol. Number two, inexperience.
Probably in that order too.
Yeah.
You don't need a license to operate a boat, unlike a motor vehicle. You can pretty much buy a boat, get out on the water, and be expected to obey the nautical rules of the road. But not everybody takes classes. Not everybody verses themselves on what it's like to be out in the water. So, inexperience combined with alcohol just is a really bad mix. It's no different than driving on the road. You could hit another boat. You could hit a submerged object. You could hit a swimmer. So you really have to be pretty savvy out there. You're not driving on the road, but you're driving on the water, and it's just as serious. And being a coastal community, we do see a lot of boating accidents, boat fires, swimmers in distress, boats missing, windsurfers tipped over and can't right themselves. So we get a lot of calls between fire, police, harbor master, and one of the privates, Towboat US, just for an example. We're all out there just trying to make sure that when something happens, we have a quick enough response to be able to get to them in time.
So you're listening to Townsquare Media. I'm Jim Phillips. My guest, Fairhaven Firefighter Wayne Oliveira. What are the three things boaters should do safety-wise before they put their boats in the water? What do you recommend?
Well, just and you can have this done with the Coast Guard Auxiliary or some of the other agencies, is have a courtesy inspection done. Make sure that you have the right things on board the boat if you become in distress. You have flares, you have flags, you have a sounding device, you have a radio, all of the things that boaters are required or should have. The other thing is obviously to take a class, a safe boating class that are put on, again, by some of the agencies like the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and have your boat mechanically checked. We think of it, your car breaks down, you walk to the nearest service station, or you go get help. When you're out in a boat and you're in distress, there's nowhere to walk to. You're going to have to swim or wait till another boater comes by. So you kind of want to make sure it's mechanically ready, safety ready, safe to carry passengers. You have life preservers. A lot of things you want to think about. Again, just like some of the other things we said, it's fun, it's enjoyable. You want to go out there and have a great time, but there's a lot of safety behind the scenes that you need to consider when you're the operator. It's not just about fun.
And amazingly, these things sometimes are not considered. People just want to get that boat in the water.
Right. Can't wait.
We did it last year. We're fine. Yeah. Get the boat in the water.
Exactly. Can't wait to hit the water, open it up, start having some fun. Next thing you know, something happens. They're scrambling looking for, a life preserver or something to bail or something to call, radio to call for help, cell phone, whatever it might be. But, you don't always take that in consideration. It's just about, we want to have fun first and worry about the other stuff later.
Yeah. It's all too often that kind of stuff really happens. There are swimming accidents every summer. We are in an area with a lot of water and a lot of swimming on Fairhaven beaches in Buzzards Bay. What should people be cautious about? I know that lifeguards are on duty during the summer months, but are there any concerns there? You've responded, I'm sure, to swimming mishaps.
Probably just some things that, come to mind. Number one is watch where you swim. Try to be in a supervised area, a beach where there is supervision. We have undertows that you have to be aware of, and how to safely make your way out of an undertow. That could, push you out into open water and some pretty rough water at times. Watch where you swim because of boaters and make sure that the activities there are good for swimmers and you're not going to be in the way of somebody else. And don't swim alone. We remind people of that all the time. You want to go out for a nighttime swim. You run to the beach. You want to take a quick dip in the water. But just don't do it alone. Always be with a pair so that if something happens, somebody else is available to make that call, make that emergency call.
Of course, in-ground or above-ground pools really present their own types of hazards with ladders and things, especially with small children. I know, because I've read these stories, and I know that you've responded to these kinds of incidents. It's never pleasant. It's sad. But people can just, by paying a little more attention, you can avoid these kinds of things with those pools.
Right. Pool safety, again, taken for granted. We respond to several home pool incidents where a child has fallen in, child becomes missing, and you hear it a million times. It only takes a second, and any parent that's happened to will tell you they are so right. It only takes a second. A child goes missing. Next thing you know, they're at the bottom of the pool. Again, comes down to common sense. Putting the ladders up when you have a small child around the pool. Don't let them hang out on the deck if it's an above ground. Don't let them hang around the pool if it's an in-ground where they can easily fall in. Make sure you have the required gates around your pools. And again, supervision. You really need to be vigilant when you're the homeowner, the host, so that people aren't doing stupid things. They're not diving in the low part. They're not, roughhousing where somebody is going to get hurt, hit their head. Sometimes you have to be the bad guy. You have to be the adult and just say, you can't do that. And, you don't want to be the bad guy, but then again, you don't want to be the one responsible for a tragedy. So
that's very true. My guest has been Wayne Oliveira, firefighter in the town of Fairhaven. And thank you, Wayne, for these reminders. It all boils down really to common sense, but sometimes that doesn't happen in the summertime.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. We say common sense, but sometimes you just get caught up in, again, the fun, and you don't think. So I thank you for having me on. We hope that we can just bring a little bit of, if everybody just pauses for that 1 or 2 seconds, thinks about what they're doing before they do it. Maybe we can have a enjoyable summer and not have to respond to the emergencies.
Well, let's have really a safe summer out there for
Excellent.
sure.